has Coach Eckler been wearing the same USC visor since like 2013?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we got to check that thing. That thing's pretty old. That's probably older than maybe some of our players. So, yeah, he came in there one day and had it on, and yeah, he said he had found it and kept it from his old days here, and had such a good time, and then obviously kind of a cool story, him ending up back here. So, yeah, it gets a lot of questions and looks until people figure out what it is, but that's Coach Eck.
As long as you wash it. But has he like added anything aside from his energy? Like what's he bringing to the group?
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, Eck is a very experienced coach. I mean, I think we're feeling his impact. Certainly on special teams, feeling his impact at the linebacker position. I think our entire team is feeling his impact in terms of just the fundamental background and progressive teaching that he believes in there. And so that's what really good coaches do. They don't just come in and impact, their own position. They impact the entire program. And his experience of obviously having a lot of different roles. He's coached at a lot of big time places. He's seen a lot, been around a lot of great coaches, great teams. It's been something that you lean into, and that's the value in hiring guys, like Eck and like Gary that have a unique amount of experience because they bring a lot to the table for every coach, every staff member, and every player out here.
How was the first day? Pads on.
It was fun. It was fun. It was fun to see a lot of these guys kind of actually play a little bit of real football here. Fun to see some of the physicality at the lines of scrimmage. You could tell that even with our youth that there's some. It's a pretty good battle in there right now. And I thought the guys handled it well. You're always, I think, looking for in these practices. I mean, one, establishing the physicality and mentality that we expect here at USC and that this program has long been known for. And then you're also teaching a lot of new guys how to practice at this level, whether it's the focus that they got to have, understanding the intensity level of every snap, understanding the way that we want to practice so that we can practice really physical, but also, keep guys healthy and not have any reckless injuries. And so I thought they did a good job handling it. There was a lot of energy and excitement out here today. We had to calm them down a couple of times, which that's what you like, but it was, a pretty spirited day.
Where's some of the linemen that are offensive linemen that are maybe pushing the five starters that are coming back?
Well, we'll get back and evaluate this film. I mean, first day of pads, it will be a great chance for us to obviously get in there and look at it. But I think a lot of the young linemen are not far away physically from being able to help us. And so now it's just going to be mentally, obviously, learning what we're doing schematically. I think learning the technique, fundamentals that you got to play with at this level. Again, like I mentioned, the intensity of every single snap. But yeah, there's not a lot of guys in that group that are like just so far out developmental that you'd say, hey, physically they're 2 or 3 years away, right? There's a lot of guys that can, if they go in there and have a good rep right now, can hold their own against most of the guys out here. And so, so that's been really good to see. And obviously right now, Killian's still a little bit limited right now. Page is still a little bit limited. So Tobias has been a little bit limited, and so it's opening up some opportunities for, that next group, whether it's returners or obviously the true freshmen that have come in to get a lot of reps. So they're getting thrown in the fire, and they're going to get better quickly.
Every year, there's a focus and emphasis on having good eyes, good vision. It seems like there might be a little bit more emphasis this year. You got that white stripe going down the helmet. What's part of that philosophy behind it?
Yeah, I think just being able to teach, and whether it's us as coaches being able to evaluate, every detail, like you said, hand placement, eye placement, pad level, are we getting cleats in the ground? There's just a heavy fundamental emphasis in this spring. We're doing some things, not that we haven't emphasized it before, but we're definitely doing some things differently to emphasize it in different ways. And then we're making sure that we as a staff are doing everything that we can to be able to evaluate it and coach it so that when we come to the field, these reps are as valuable as they can. So, yeah, something like the stripe, which obviously we don't traditionally have, but it helps us ID where their eyes are at. Are they in the correct place? And that's some of the experience of bringing in different staff members that have done things different ways, and you're going to grab hold of an idea or two that can make us better and help us coach our guys better.
I know you mentioned some guys are limited, but I think this is the most continuity you've had at offensive line since being at USC. Yeah. What does that just do for the program?
Yeah, it's as much as I've had at any place ever. It does a lot, and obviously it'd be great when we get them all back on the field. But, I think the experience, I think guys that understand, what we're doing, they understand the mentality that what we want to do with. And I think they also, you've got some guys that understand all right, that's great, some of the good things that we've done, but also, what is that next step? And guys that have been a part of it and want to be, the ones that really help our offensive line, our physicality at the line of scrimmage, to really become the dominant group consistently. We've had a lot of flashes. We ran the ball last year, pretty well, the majority of the season, but there were a couple of games when we didn't, and that's going to be really important to be able to consistently do that game in and game out. So, and I think the other thing it helps too is, you talk about this talented young group that we have. I mean, to bring those guys along, right, to have that much experience in front of them where, yeah, they're going to compete and the best guy's going to play and a young guy may jump up and pass an old guy. Like, it may happen, but regardless, those guys are going to be developing because they've got a lot of guys there that have been in this program. They know what it is, and they're going to help develop them just as much as we are as coaches. And so I think it's important for now, but also important for our future.
How close was Jakeem to being 100%?
He's close. He's able to do some limited stuff right now. We're advantaging the time. I would think after spring break, we anticipate that he'll be out here without any restrictions.
Is that roughly the same for Paige as well?
Close. Paige is probably a little bit ahead. Paige is able to do a little bit more right now, but not a huge discrepancy. No.
Last year, you kind of dropped King Miller's name on and said, hey, you should keep an eye on this guy. Is there another player in that realm that you're noticing right now early and saying, hey, he might be able to help us in the fall?
Give me a few more practices. Give me a few. There's a lot that I think it'd probably be fair to say right now, but I kind of like to see these guys do it a little bit more. I will say this: there's at this point, there's a lot more than maybe we've had before. Just across the board. There's just at all position groups and at all levels, whether it's returner, whether it's new guy, whether it's transfer we brought in, whether it's somebody you pencil in as a 1 right now or a 2 or a 3, you just feel like the whole thing is just kind of taking a step up. There's a lot of good players on the field, there's a lot of talented players on the field. There's going to be a lot of, I just watching us right now, I'd be very surprised if we don't have more just all-out position battles, than what we've had. And that's what happens when your roster gets more deep and you bring in good people and you retain good people and you sign really good high school classes. I mean, that's what happens.
One more.
A lot of last year's wide receivers from the 2 deep aren't here anymore, whether it's for injury or moving on. How have you seen the wide receivers and stuff step up, with those openings and those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a edge about them as a group. I mean, they're I think they're aware that we've got some newcomers and some opportunities to go prove ourselves as a group and go establish ourselves. And so we want our group to have that edge. We want these guys individually to have that edge. They had some great examples, from some of our guys previously on how to come in and work and what kind of impact you can have on this team and what type of player you can become in this program. So, a lot of them are trying to follow suit and kind of carve their own path. And so, no, it's a very talented group. I mean, our talent's going to still be, very, very good. It's just got to develop, and we've got to kind of find our identity. And I think this group's got an opportunity to bond on a little bit of that notion of, oh, well, you lost these guys, and who's going to catch the ball? Like, they're going to get their chance to prove it, and I think they're eager for their chance and their opportunity to go shine, and they just got to continue to work and go get it.